Hey guys, it's me, producer Ross, and welcome to another edition of the Monday Recap, the show where we round up the weekend's action and look forward to the week ahead. Plus, look at news stories that you may have missed. Once again, as ever, I'm joined by good old Liam from Crewe, who had his birthday on the weekend, so late birthday to him. But Liam, let's get into the action. So, of course, Town returned to league action on the weekend as they took on Shrewsbury Town at Portman Road. And they came from behind to win 2-1. Call the police because they robbed all 3 points. Jack Lankester scoring a late winner. Liam, your verdict on the game. 3 points, but not a good performance.
Well, I think the police comment completely sums up the whole day, really. You look at the thing for me is you will get games like this. You'll get games that teams will sit in and they'll come to bigger clubs and try and play for a point or even snatch a win if they manage to get their noses in front, which is what Shrewsbury did. Although, tempering that, actually, Shrewsbury could have had more. They didn't create a huge amount of chances, but a couple of extra dubious penalties there. I think the second one in the first half, it's a bit tight. And then the one in the second half with Enciala, I was a bit surprised the ref called for a corner, really. Because it didn't look like the ball had deviated, and from the angle, it looked like he's just completely taken him out. But we got away with them. But the thing is it is difficult to play against teams who sit in, and Lambert said the players kept going, and they did keep going. But for me, it just sums up what we've seen so far this season, that it's periods of some decent football, but large periods of just possession for possession's sake, not doing anything with it, and actually being very little threat. And that's what we saw on Saturday. And had it not been for a bit of a fluky own goal, it was a good cross, but it was a fluky own goal. Town, I think, could have played all day and wouldn't have scored. So that's the big worry, real big worry. They haven't played well against a few other teams and haven't got the results. And I think it's just a large run at the moment of performances that you say, well, Jimmy Walker summed it up last week, average. And that's the worry.
Well, of course, one big thing coming out of this game, before the game, was injuries. Of course, Town are just cursed with injuries. Of course, going into the game, we had the mystery injuries between who was going to be out. It then found out it was my boy, Gwen Edwards. He's gone. Ollie Hawkins and James Wilson. Then we got some more injuries in this game. John Nolan came off early in the game, and then Teddy Bishop as well. So our players are dropping like flies. But one of the big comments after the game was on Brett McGavin, who came on replacing replacing Andre Lascelles in the midfield. And I thought he did okay. But Paul Lambert made some comments about this, which is had a lot of waves going on in this Twitter sphere. He went on and said to Brenner from BBC Radio Suffolk, "He must be your favourite of yours because you wax lyrical about him all the time. My standard is maybe a little bit different from yours." But your thoughts on these very strange comments?
Well, I think it's pretty poor, really. You're trying to build the young lad up, and to be fair to Lambert, in some ways, it wasn't as good a performance as he put in against Portsmouth in the FA Cup. He was very good in that game, very creative, and his set plays were really good. Whereas the weekend, Saturday, it was not that his set plays were not particularly that good. But overall, I think his possession of the ball and his actual distribution of the ball was really good. And you can see when Lambert spoke in that same interview saying that McGavin is the closest thing Town have to Lascelles. Well, that's true. He has that ability. But he's a young lad. He is going to have games where he's better and games where he's not. That's inconsistency of you. And I think it's pretty poor management that he is picking him out in public, saying that he's got all he could have come out and said is, we gave him a go. The boy did well, but there are things to work on. That was all that was needed. There didn't need to be anything else other than that. That sums it up perfectly. But the fact that he's taking a snipe and saying that people are kind of cheerleading him, well, I think people can see that he didn't have a fantastic game, but then nobody did. And I think it's really poor that you've got a youth product who's 21 now, I think, if I'm right in saying, who isn't real young now. It is make or break time. And he doesn't get a lot of game time. So how is he going to improve his performances and really show Lambert that he is a first choice starter, which at this age now he should be looking to be, if he's not going to get the game time? So to then suddenly completely kind of say that he's got absolutely tons of stuff to work on, I think it is really, really poor. I think if he just comes out and says he's got a few things that we need to improve, but that will come. But he doesn't. He's very, very straight to the point, Lambert, very to the jugular. And I think it doesn't help, especially the fact, as you said, with the injuries, that he is our only choice at the moment in that position until Giselle comes back after the whole game on Tuesday. So he has to play on Tuesday. Otherwise, we're going to lose that kind of pivot in the midfield. So I think it's poor management, especially with big games coming up where he might have to play more than just Tuesday night with the injuries that are coming on. But he's not particularly building up the lads' confidence, and I think that's not great at all.
So let's look at the week ahead, and it is a big week for Town. We don't know much about the impact on the injuries, so we don't really know if Bishop and Nolan's going to be. They probably will be missing these next two games, possibly. So let's look at the big games. We take on Hull City on Tuesday night, who are top of the league. They've played 12 games. They've won 9 out of those 12 and losing the other 3. So this is going to be a very interesting game indeed. And then on Saturday, we take on Charlton, who are currently on a very good winning run. 6 wins in a row at the moment as they sit in 5th. 7 wins in total, 2 draws, 2 defeats. How are you feeling going into this week, Liam? Probably our biggest week of the season.
Well, you summed it up there, biggest week of the season. But I think the word biggest is the wrong to use in this. I think defining week of the season is a better way to describe it, because yes, there are lots of games and teams go through good periods of form and bad periods of form, and they could easily go through this week and now lose the next 2, but they could win loads of games after New Year and be still way up in it. But the point is that they had the same deficiencies last season as they have currently shown this season, in the fact that they cannot beat sides that are going to be around them. They're winning the games against the smaller clubs, but not those teams up and about. And you would expect Charlton and Hull to be there. Charlton have had their problems off the pitch, but have suddenly hit a great bit of form and are now looking like the team we expected they would be, of being right up there to get back into the Championship. Hull City as well. They again, I mean, they were a bit like Town when they came down. They went on a really bad run, which ended up them being relegated quite comfortably. But they're not a bad side either, and they will expect to be in that hunt to get up. And it is quite competitive. You look at the teams that are in there. Ipswich have been down there for a year now. Sunderland have been down there for about 3, I think. And then you've got the new teams who've come down in Charlton and Hull. They're all looking to get back up. Portsmouth, another one. And it is very competitive, but Town have to start putting results against these teams. Draws, frankly, are not good enough. They have to put in a statement win. And they haven't got that at the moment. And that's why this week is defining. because if they don't win at least one of these, then everyone is going to say it's the same as last season. And psychologically, that's the main thing. Psychologically, the players, it will keep happening and happening. And by the time we come to the run-in in March, Town will probably be in the same situation as they were last season. And they've got too much to do now to get themselves back into the mix to get promoted, which is the key thing. So it is a defining week. 2 really tough games. If they win one, and I don't care how they do it, if they do another daylight robbery like Saturday, then we don't care. But they have to get a result against one of these big clubs and make a statement that Ipswich are not just going to gub the smaller teams, but sink against the better teams and just go back into mid-table, that they are going to compete and that they have the quality in the squad, which they undoubtedly do, but they haven't shown it yet against these teams. And that is why it's a big week. 2 losses, and I think Lambert is starting to skate on very, very thin ice.
Well, very well said there, Liam. Well, there we go. The end of the Monday recap. We'll be back, of course, next week to cover those 2 games. And, of course, game day on Tuesday night and also game day extra time on the podcast. Liam, thank you very much for joining me as ever. And I've been producer Ross, and we'll see you in the next video.